Yeah, you read the title right. I never played a Final Fantasy game, so I played 15. Not gonna lie though, I think I made a huge mistake. So, even though I never played Final Fantasy, I was familiar with the series. I watched my cousins play some of 9 when we were kids, and I played Kingdom Hearts, so I kind of had an idea of what Final Fantasy was. But I guess the reason I never played it was none of the games really made me curious enough to really kind of play them, to be honest. But that changes today. And the reason I started with 15 was because it was free on my PS5, and I think it was the first game that had like live combat, and I do prefer live combat even though I do love turn-based games. Don't be in the comments saying he hates turn-based games. I never said that. I just prefer live combat over turn-based. Plus, I heard that 15 had like this bro squad kind of road trip vibe going on. That sounded really dope, but there's just so much to unpack here. Let's go ahead and get started. My first impressions here were actually really solid for the most part. I thought the whole bro squad kind of vibe was really cool, and I really enjoyed it, to be honest. And all of the, the squad I thought were pretty cool, man. Like Gladio was cool, Prompto was cool, Noctis was cool, Ignis. Although later Gladio really did kind of start irritating me, and I didn't really like Gladio later. But one thing I did not enjoy at first was it seemed very kind of like messy and kind of everywhere. I was very confused in the beginning of the game. But even though I was very confused, the world felt very exciting. It felt very full. And it was really enjoyable. And man, Sydney, bruh, she could, help me with my car anytime, girl.
Why, she's looking prettier than ever.
But one thing that caught my eye was the graphics, right? The voice acting, the combat, right? The flash. It was very epic. It felt very, expensive. Like, it was very highly produced, which is cool. But early on, man, when Regis's castle gets, attacked and Noctis is trying to get back there, he's fighting through all the cops, and he's the music starts getting all intense and everything. That's when the story honestly had me. And I know that's pretty early in the game, but when that whole thing happened, I was like, oh my god, this is straight up epic. The cutscenes look epic, the graphics are awesome, the voice acting's amazing. And I was really sold on the game during that whole little spiel, and it was really solid. The first few hours felt really amazing, man, with this game. But that changes very soon, as you'll see. So, talking about the Bro Squad. This was the first kind of game that had this major bro squad kind of vibe going on. But I gotta say, I loved it. I think the banter during the long car rides felt somewhat assuring and peaceful. It really made the game feel calming, you had real family friends in a way. It was very unique. And I love when games make the characters small talk as you play. Kind of like how they did in God of War for the PS4 when you're on the boat and you're rowing around and Kratos and Atreus is talking or whatever. But back to the bro quad. Yes, I called it a bro quad. Bro, 4 people, quad, squad. Bro quad, that's a new word. Nobody steal it. Now, I'm not really for sure if y'all felt the same way on this, but Gladio was a dick. Just straight up. I was not a fan of Gladio the more I played. But, my favorite was definitely Ignis. I'm not really sure why, but he gave me vibes of a butler, but he's really your best friend kind of vibe. And he really seemed like he had Noctis's best interest in his heart. It really was I really liked Ignis. He was really cool. Gladio to me felt like Neji, how he was to Hinata, where he's I'm better than you, and I'm only here because I gotta be kind of vibe, he hated being there. I did not really like Gladio. I don't know if anybody else felt the same way about that, but I was not a fan of Gladio because of that whole attitude. And Prompto, I want to say he was kind of annoying, but then he really wasn't. He was more just kind of floating there, kind of just in the background, he was 50-50 kind of thing. Sometimes he was annoying, sometimes he wasn't. It was 50-50. It's a great neutral, but yeah, he was cool overall, but I mean, the main issue I had was with Gladio. But the bro vibe alone really sold it, and I loved how they interacted with each other during combat situations. The whole bro stuff gets a solid A+ from me. It's a really big selling point of the game, and I was very impressed with it. Now, we're talking about combat, and this is where it gets very depressing for me, to be honest. Now, starting out for the combat, I loved the combat. I thought the warp strike was the coolest thing in the world. Using it, the flashy animation, and using the whole warp thing to go chill on a random ledge to get MP was cool. Using commands with the teammates was amazing. How they interacted during combats was amazing. And then, you know, going to unlock the royal weapons or whatever thing, that was very dope. But here's where it started hating the combat, right? I really did not like this. Each time you use a royal weapon, there's a major drawback to using it, right? So every time I would get one, it never was exciting because I never wanted to use it because of the drawbacks. It was like, this isn't really worth it to use it for the drawbacks. So like, it was like, why even have it in the game if there's so much drawback to it? Because I felt like the reward wasn't like better than the risk of using it. And the more I played, the more I realized, oh, okay, all I gotta do is just hold triangle and I just infinite loop the warp strike. Then like, you know, you go sit on a ledge, get more MP, do more warp strikes, watch and repeat. It started feeling so stale to me. Like, it was still really cool to use and look at, the animation was cool, but it just became something like I loved because I thought you could kind of like do different things and stuff like that, and you could, but it just became so stale because you didn't really need to do half of the things that like I was doing. All you had to do was just hold a triangle. And it was just a disappointment for me because I started out loving it, and then it just ended up becoming something that like, it just, you know, it's like, it's worse. It's kind of like when you like it and then it just, the more you play it, it's like, oh, it sucks. Versus if you just don't like it to begin with, there's no really attachment there. But like, I was very attached to it and I just got let down the more I used it. And honestly, do not get me started on the magic system. The magic system in this game was complete garbaggio, bro. I mean, really awful. Just way too damn confusing for me, which is why 95% of the game I never used it. Like, they just made that way too complicated than to just get something and just use it. Oh my dear God. And on top of the magic thing, the EXP was straight garbage too, because I get the EXP, like, I get it, but then I gotta go rest at an inn or camp to actually get it applied to the characters. Like, just give me the damn EXP. I just don't, you know, I just want it, and you're making me get it with extra steps. Like, it's a one-step thing and you're making it like a 3-step thing for no reason. Like, it took me a while to understand that because I was in the middle of like doing battles and was like, oh cool, you know, I got this and this, and I'm like, how come like I'm still level this because I just got this much EXP? And I'm like, I'm confused. And then I was like, oh, so once you rest at the end, you finally apply it to your character. Like, that is the most ignorant thing ever. Like, I don't care if y'all in the comments say, oh well, you know, if you did, you know, take it and just use it as the end, you can get like 1.5 EXP or two times or whatever it is. Still trash. Like, it still sucks. Like, at that point, let me just eat a meal and then like for 30 minutes let me get double EXP or something, or like 15 minutes or whatever it is. Like, there's no reason to have to make me go through extra steps just to get EXP from my character. Like, there's no reason for that. If you are liking the video and you want more retro gaming and first time playthroughs, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Thank you. Honestly, for the story, man, the story does a very piss poor job of really explaining anything that's happening in a very clear way. Like, it's very messy at first, like I said. To be honest, the characters was better than the story for the most part. Like, the story was just kind of mediocre and secondary to like the whole bro squad thing. And honestly, I hate overly political media. Like, that goes for anime, games, whatever. And this was way more political than I liked. The story was kind of everywhere at first. It tightened up a little bit later in the game and was pretty decent for the most part though. I gotta say, the best and worst part of this game's story is the ending. I loved how dark it got. Like, you're gone for years, the world's in straight hell, you come back, you rejoin the crew, you take down the bad guys. It was super cool, but the main thing I hated is you basically die, and then it implies your friends die, and it's like self-sacrifice to save the world, yada yada, whatever. I mean, you know, I get that every story doesn't need a happy ending, and I'm not saying it needs a happy ending, but it was just straight depressing and not in a good way. Like, it just didn't really sit well with me at all. So the story, I mean, I don't know, I'm very mixed on it, to be honest, because like, I get, you know, self-sacrifice to save the world if the villains seem like worth it to like do it, you know what I mean? Like, if it seems like, hey, there's no way we're gonna win, this is the only way kind of thing. And I didn't really get that whole vibe, emotional kind of like setting for the story for it to like be that way. It just felt like forced. It just kind of felt like, hey, you know, this is kind of what we're just gonna do. It didn't, I don't know, I just really wasn't impressed with it. I was just very mixed on it, to be honest. But, you know, my final verdict for this is I know I'm about to piss off an entire fandom here when I'm about to say this, because this isn't really about 15, this is about Final Fantasy in general. But man, honestly, I'm starting to think Final Fantasy's just got to be overhyped in general, because, not because of 15, but because how is it that y'all are on 16, right? Because I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 16, that's the newest one or whatever. But every time somebody brings up Final Fantasy, it's always 9, 10, 7, 6. Like, y'all have not had a decent game in almost like 10 games. Come on, bro. This fandom's got to be overhyping it, because I never hear like super great things about like 7, 9, 10 on like the newer stuff. It's like y'all are still living like 20 years ago, bro. Now, I'm not gonna say 15 was complete trash, because it was not, and this is my final verdict on 15, right? There's a lot of mixed things here, but is it really worth all the hype around Final Fantasy as a franchise? Right? Final Fantasy 15 is not a great starting point for Final Fantasy, the franchise in general. So, no, I don't think it's a great first Final Fantasy game to play. Did 15 really make me understand all the hype around Final Fantasy as a franchise? Definitely not. And honestly, I would not recommend 15 to start with anybody's first Final Fantasy game. I'm very disappointed in this as my first Final Fantasy game I've played, and honestly, I'm not super motivated to want to play another one. I will, because I want to try to understand the hype and the passion for Final Fantasy games, so I do want to try another one. But I think I'm going to have y'all have to tell me in the comments what one I should play next, because honestly, I'm not doing a great job at picking. So please let me know in the comments, what should I really play next as far as the Final Fantasy games go. And if I were to rank this game 1 out of 10, 10 being the highest, obviously, is a solid 6 out of 10. Like, it's nothing special for sure. There are some decent things about it, but like, I don't know if like this was like a direction where Final Fantasy was like, hey, we're gonna try something different, and I just caught it at like the worst possible time. Or I don't really know if like, you know, what they were kind of doing with this. I don't really know how the fandom kind of feels on this. I know a lot of the fandom says 15 sucks, but then I've also heard some people that say, you know, 15 is really, really good. So it's kind of hard to really tell right now, to be honest. But for me, I was not super impressed with my first Final Fantasy game being 15. So if I should play another one, please let me know in the comments what else should I play, because I really do not know. And if you would like more first time playthroughs, click this video on the screen now. And until next time, peace.